Broken Circle presents a story preeminent fiction podcast, Pull a String, Season 1 Unsettling Forecast, Episode 0 Gods from Men. Excerpts from a letter to Jonah R., written by his uncle, dated Wednesday, May 8, 2018. Selection 1. Dearest Jonah, I hope this letter finds you well. I have chosen this more traditional method since it both possesses a simple elegance and will keep any communication between us well under the radar. You see, neither our allies nor even our enemies bother with surveillance of the mail any longer. For them, a letter is the most unlikely choice anyone would make, seeing that this once great art form is now almost wholly neglected. This simplistic assumption, whereby they have screened out such a tertiary choice, shows a growing blindness. Yet such a lack of insight grants me perhaps the final chance of reaching you. All I can do is hope you will heed all that now follows in this letter, in light of what will be coming shortly. I have included a number of critical warnings, including some friendly advice voicing my concerns about the direction your life is taking. Jonah, you know I must follow my conscience and duly caution you. Under the circumstances I cannot spare your feelings, nor afford my usual polite restraint. You must be made aware that the general conditions around you are now changing rapidly. Do not let yourself be shepherded too far along a safe road. Dread that creeping path that gives too much security and comfort. Much of the blame for all this lies solely at my feet, and how my vocation has shaped and molded me by the decisions I have foolishly dodged, which facilitated how this situation has unfolded. It would not have gone so far in such a perilous direction otherwise. I should have been there more often and guided you with more wisdom than I did. Your situation would not have unfolded in the way it has but for my neglect. The truth is that the matters I must now cautiously unfold have advanced so far along their track that it has made this letter a necessity. Permit me just this once to be more blunt than usual. Now I must reluctantly tell you that the hour for precaution has most surely passed us by. The crux of the matter is this. By the time you read this, you already will believe me missing or otherwise out of action. So I assume my sister will readily inform you. I know what will come next will be painful. There are certain individuals who must believe I am dead, not incapacitated, not run away, nor in hiding or injured, but permanently out of the way. This will be critical for what will come afterwards. You will no doubt receive such news or something like it. Now, here is the rub. This announcement may or may not be true. I do not or will not know, since I pass now into a danger unlike any I or my companions have ever faced before. And failure is just as likely as success. Who can know but the Most High? Who can see the end of any process, whether it will flourish or go astray, but Hashem? You know from our many discussions that I embrace the fullness of our ancient faith, even if others in my family remain somewhat ambivalent or captured by doubt. Yet the risk above is just part and parcel of my vocation's innermost marrow. Please be aware that this letter will have reached you via strange channels across vast distances. As I write this, I can only be freshly reminded how casually over the years I put such statements down on paper. So many weird and uncanny matters for me have become almost routine in the way that they are met with across time and circumstances. Know this, Jonah, that their strange evil was not envisioned touching our lives in this manner. Instead, it was intended that we should have experienced fuller wonders out of the unseen. I cannot now press any further into these matters, or be more specific, nor explain how I can know all this. Such a time has not yet arrived. There are so many lengthy histories here that I cannot yet unfold for you. Therefore I have constrained myself with these generalities, hints, and nebulous statements contained herein, allowing for whatever inferences you may make from the information given. I hope these breadcrumbs may act as a kind of guide through the dark forest lying ahead. Although I hate doing so, dear nephew, I must leave you partially in the dark, with only scant and fragmentary insights. Understand certain matters must remain undisclosed given their nature. When I am able at last to see you again in private, some can be more fully elucidated. Others must always remain secret, since I cannot break my oath, and besides, simply knowing them is inherently dangerous. As the time approaches, you will learn much more about me anyway, and the many disturbing reasons I am who I am. For this reason, I have taken up my pen so that I can begin that process, however indirect, however obliquely, and help you understand. My story, regardless, is far more complex, rich, and heartbreaking than you have been led to believe. If we do not meet again, know this. I have lived a very full life, had many good times, and known a happiness and a fulfillment few have experienced. Yet, accompanying all this has also been a deep darkness, following closely at my heels. But this is not exceptional for anyone who has taken up this vocation and its burdens. I have served my country, family, and God as seemed best. I have experienced many joys and true friendships, beheld secret things which have unfolded the true terrors and marvels of the universe to me, and so have known what is almost more wonderful than any fragile human voice could utter, and experienced a love so true my marrow has ached ever since I was parted from her. You never met my wife, unfortunately, since any attempt at explaining her manners, her origin, and her behavior would have opened up so many questions whose answers would have been far more convoluted and baffling than helpful. Your mother never even suspected. Alas, it is a story for another time when we see each other again. Yet also know this, Jonah, with all that I have seen, the pursuing darkness, fueled by the ancient night, is not something I have embraced, compromised with, or participated in. Instead, I have fought it whether in places mundane or exotic, at my doorstep or far away, with every fiber of my being, no matter the cost, which has always remained brutal, high, and often final. Any amount often so high you cannot yet even imagine what the price ultimately is for the human soul. Anyone who has paid it will always afterward walk with ghosts who never leave your side again. On my last few visits I struggled every moment with how or if I should unburden myself. Even back then certain difficult matters had been set in motion that prevented me from making even a fragmentary disclosure, and I vacillated back and forth over how I should approach you. Who else would come even close to understanding but you? In our old conversations we discussed many different matters that must have seemed just pure speculation, a kind of merkin or fable, but now I can tell you they were in fact not. Thus you have already been partially exposed to the truth. Did you not notice how your mother made sure we did not have any significant time alone the last time I saw you? She sensed something was amiss even back then, but had no way of understanding what you were already aware of even if you did not recognize what you already possessed. She is afraid for you, of your abilities, yet most of all for herself and what more she might lose. Over the years she has picked up a little here, a little there, and has made what I would hazard are some accurate inferences about what I do, what I have seen, and perhaps even a little more. Your mother is more clever than you give her credit for, Jonah. You have inherited many of her insights and capacities. Understand that she fears what you might do with your gifts, and also what trouble you might cause, and what might be revealed by and through you. She desires that the world remain stable and exactly as she has always known it. Yet the irony of it all is that she and the others have no idea we have already passed far beyond that stage and reality has already been radically compromised. Jonah, I tell you, do not let that hold you back. In a cunning way she has maneuvered you into a safe path with a good job and decent wages. This is not sufficient for you. You know it is not. You must understand you are capable of so much more. There are many things that you might do that would serve humanity and our country. Even though much of my life has revolved around troubling and ugly truths, I have over the years made such a contribution and kept the world safe more than once. Many strange things have happened to me over those decades I have taken part in the long war. And oh yes, there is only in reality one war. All others you see in history are but aspects of its length and fullness. Police actions, skirmishes, and campaigns are but instances in a much wider and larger conflict. These are just the latest manifestations in its extensive history. This long war is far more complex and nuanced than such vague polarizations of who is in and who is out, who is wrong and who is right, have you believe or think. My heart is so heavy as I write this. The burden is in telling you what you will need and yet not revealing too much. There are secrets within secrets, my dear nephew, and to know them is an enormous burden I would not have you bear on your shoulders or within your heart. You may be amused a little by such a heavy and enigmatic letter from your uncle, and I hope your favorite one, but that cannot be helped. I must still be a merchant of enigmas for all our sakes. There have been so many losses in my life in this long holy war, if there ever was one. For it is not against men or women, nor against any nation on earth, but against entities such as the human mind has the greatest difficulty in conceiving. And I would not have you lost, or my sister, nor anyone else for that matter. So this is my last emergency action before I walk into the valley of the shadow once more. Believe me, nephew, if all this were not necessary, then I would not volunteer, much less go. The irony is that all this is so seemingly mundane and normal in appearance. If you knew where the object of our mission is, you would dismiss it, censored. You have seen all your life. Your mother or your father or his family hasn't a clue, and doesn't know that what I have to confront, the physical place of the mission, is not far from where you live, and the things that grow restless now in that spectral valley do so, censored. I must go to that estate and confront what lurks there stirring up hidden in ancient shadows, but censored. Note: the whole of the next 4 paragraphs have been omitted. No further explanation will be provided at this time. Jonah. Selection 2. And so, you see there is much at stake here. My upcoming mission is somewhat complex. Therefore, I have saved you from the more burdensome facts you should not know anyway, and the inevitable vetting that would necessarily occur if you did know. Suffice to say that the world is not exactly what you think it is. This is not to disparage those naturalistic tendencies you hold so adamantly, but neither supernaturalism nor materialism alone are adequate categories for the real, secret nature of either this cosmos or any of the others. Some of this you no doubt will dismiss as the ramblings of an ancient man who has spent too much time looking at antiquated files and dusty, neglected manuscripts. I know so much is being dumped on you at once. You should be glad that it is not more, and that you are being granted a temporary reprieve from more dire matters. Things have never been what they seem within our family history or the choices which were made across the sea. Some of the fog should now lift a little, Jonah, on why we settled in the area you still live in, as well as the many paradoxes inherently involved. Instead of spelling out everything for you, I have instead left you with a series of clues that will assist you in untangling them for yourself. This letter and the cumulative subject matter of our conversations will guide you along the way. There is much more we could discuss, and so much more I need to say, and we need to say, in each other's presence. I cannot go fully there now, and I can only believe that that time will come round again. Till then, follow the instructions I have left quietly and approach those who can help obliquely. You will find the right place through the signs I have given you. Many things, seen and unseen, may begin reaching out for you through fear, intimidation, lack of energy, the lie crouching at the door, but you must overcome them. I have confidence in you, and even though I know you do not believe, I will pray for you so you might make the correct choices and go into the right places, even if this letter should not reach you for some reason. I have entrusted this to someone our enemies do not know as well as they imagine. He or she, you will never know, will pass this on to your mother with solemn urgency for you to receive and for your eyes alone. I must trust my youngest sister once more in this fraught endeavor, and believe she will make the right choice for once. In this letter I am simply trying to warn you as indirectly as possible about significant forces who exalt themselves against the knowledge without giving away too much. Such information delivered bit by bit or en masse would be highly troubling, possibly damaging for the unprepared. So I can only hint, hoping that you can see the connections and make the correct inferences where others would not. The crux of the matter is this: keep your eyes open. Stay alert. Do not trust anyone until you have vetted them. If they act as if they are a messenger from me, doubt them. Be doubly, no, triply wary. Some may even approach you by telling odd stories, especially ones which will in one fell swoop erode your views of life and reality, delivering what I have warned you against. There is one friend who is a true storyteller whom I know well, a close friend, He could unfold for you a tale or two if you were not held by restraining vows. He would tell you much about those prevaricating and slippery men, their deeds and agendas, and the chiaroscuro world he and I have unfolded before us. Yet would do so in a gentle demeanor that would cause you no harm, yet still alter much about how you see the world. These others, the dark tellers, have often woven a tapestry of composite lies, instead of one that is of truth. They will seek a kind of hollowing out they are clever enough in bringing to fruition. They will lure you with tales of men becoming gods, humans being granted divinity or lifted up by their own merits and skill. Do not believe them or any other false promises they may beguile you with along the way. A human being makes a terrible god. We are in the end far worse than those rumored horrors done by Yaldabaoth or Zeus or Dagon or Nyarlathotep. Be wary and alert. Do not believe anything such people may say. Jonah, understand that there is now no way you can avoid the shadowy pool. It has been gathering around the borders of Shipley for some time. So many of us together in one place was sufficient bait for it, although when you truthfully consider it, what has been there has been in place for a long while. Nevertheless, you are a part of this. There is no ignoring this any longer. You cannot remember, I know, the destruction and abomination of 1999, since you were both too young, and the knowledge of it has mostly slipped out of the world as reality fluctuated back to its normal boundaries, structures, and arrangements. Yet there are remnants and imprints from it even now stamped into reality. These are evident all around, and most are just oblivious to them. Nephew, for you this cannot be. Since we have been close for so many years, you have already learned so much from me. Know then that they are aware of you already. You have stayed inert and distant thus far. This will change, since this fight is also your inheritance. You cannot escape it. A certain duty has always accompanied our family, and this age is no exception. We are Jewish as thoroughly as anyone can be. Our ancient heritage does not lend us toward cowardice or avoiding trouble. You know that has been tried and cannot be accepted any more. You must find a way to be active in this fight, and although I do not believe your path will be exactly the same as mine, you must enter into the conflict in a way that best suits your gifts and talents. I know this letter has wandered a bit, even meandered unduly, but I have not the time, cannot take the time now needed desperately for other priorities of reworking it. So you must have my thoughts as they come, as muddled and meandering as they are raw. Yet I hope it is lucid enough for you to have understood its main thrust. There is so much more I might have written, yet what this letter already contains is enough for now. It has too many details in it already, nay, so much that might not at first make sense, but I assure you that what it holds is nevertheless real and authentic. Hopefully, at some point of lesser danger in the future, we can have one of those man-to-man talks we so desperately need, especially of the kind we used to have so often. The final and main point of all this is that you must prepare yourself. I hoped I could have been there for all this. You have had some small amount of incidental training, even when you did not know that was what it was, or what your mother suspected was in progress. The short of it is this, my dearest nephew Jonah. You will begin to notice over time things seen on the periphery you cannot explain. Something momentous is moving toward you, and that wider, stranger, more breathtaking and numinous world is approaching you even as I write. I say again, you cannot escape this. Your family connections, you might say, have made it almost inevitable, if not a matter of destiny. While many strong winds of strange nature will blow in your direction and buffet you, it is your duty to make sure you cannot be moved by them. With all due regard and affection, love, your uncle, A. Second and final letter left undated, probably late 2018 or early 2019. Dearest nephew, my contact has reported that no response from you has been forthcoming either through your mother or our one other mutual acquaintance. I am not sure why this is, but I have been looking forward to any answer from you, however conceived, however brief. Doubts assail me now regularly that the first desperate letter I sent was never delivered, and that your mother cannot be relied on any longer as a courier. I do not wish to distrust my own sister, but I fear she is trying too hard in protecting her offspring, even if this is in the end detrimental for her own safety. This will simply not do, since the danger I have warned you of is now very real, and one cannot avoid the darkness by simply ignoring it. There have been times in the past where I have pleaded with her again and again, but she was adamant about forcing her whole family down certain avenues that can only severely curtail their freedom and limit their real options. I will say no more about it at present. Please, whenever possible, have her send a response back, no matter how trivial or casual. Although I cannot speak any further regarding it, my mission is now imminent. All preparations have been finished. If I could visit, I would, but this would compromise the objective as it now stands, and alert others I am in the area. This is not an option. Sadly, we must leave things as they stand for now. With my best regards, your, I hope still favorite, Uncle A. Letter regarding the recently deceased, sent with agents informing next of kin regarding death in the line of duty. National Intelligence Agency, Washington, D.C., August 19, 2019. Dear Mrs. R., it is with the deepest regret that we inform of the decease of your brother, A.J.R., who, having served his country's counterintelligence interest for the last redacted years, was killed in the line of duty approximately redacted weeks past. Given considerations of national security and the covert nature of the specific operation in which he was involved, we cannot forward any details of the exact circumstances leading up to the tragedy. Our hope is that you will understand and not make any additional inquiries, but instead trust in his own good judgment. Mr. Redacted would never have placed himself in such danger if not for a pressing necessity related to this country's national interest and security. Once more, Mrs. R., please accept the agency's sincerest regrets for this unfortunate outcome and the loss of a valuable operative, colleague, scholar, and man of integrity. Everyone who worked with him is devastated by this unfortunate loss, and please know that their prayers are with you and yours. Warmest regards, Colonel S.A., Ph.D., Task Force Redacted, National Intelligence Agency, Department of Redacted. P.S. If you have any non-related security concerns, questions, or are in need of counseling or a sympathetic ear, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at my office, and an appointment with a qualified therapist or grief counselor can be arranged. Phone number, censored. Extension, censored. Postscript of a kind. She should never have kept the letters from me. At this time, the tipping point has already been reached. For so long, we all avoided the darkness. If she had not been obsessed with having me close by in the palm of her hand, that I might have known so much more that was useful and I might have done otherwise. In hiding me away, she has endangered all of us and allowed the opening of the passage anyway, accompanied as it was by the manifestation of so many perilous devices. As the letters were uncovered by seeming chance and her duplicity at last revealed, the crisis is already here. My God, how I am lost without his help and advice, while hers has become less than useless. There is still the matter of her betrayal. Looking back upon this last year, there are so many different choices I could have made, so many different directions I should have gone if I'd only known, if I had only had his last communiques. Yet, without further confirmation, would those choices have been any different? I could have written back and received more illumination, greater insights, better direction, but was never given a chance. Now it is too late for him and for all of us. By acting for her own welfare while pretending she was keeping others safe, she may have doomed those she has so laxly protected. This has been the inaugural episode of Pull a String, a fiction podcast presented by Broken Circle, written and read by Stephanie Dailey. Music by Scott Buckley. New episodes coming soon.